Okay. May I just add that I typed all 10 of Garth's books, so I pretty much know his information, and I did all of his PowerPoints. He was a great researcher and he knew the technology, but he didn't like to do it, so his wife did it. Anyway, we're going to start with Izapa, and Jim's already said some of this. It's a Mixe-Zoque site in Chiapas along the beautiful tropical Pacific coast. I hope a lot of you have been here. It represents the time bridge between the Olmec and the Maya. The 260-day sacred ritual calendar was developed at Izapa. And these two pictures that are at the Group F ball court at the far north of Izapa. And in the right, you can see the northern Mount Takana. Izapa's 260-day astronomy is a human 9-month gestation cycle and is key to Mesoamerican antiquities. The Olmec at 1500 BCE were the first to develop Izapa. Then a new group came in at the decline of the Olmec about 550 BCE, and the Maya were later 200 to 900 CE. There were 89 stelae that we've found, at least 61 altars, 3 thrones. Migrations from Izapa went throughout Mesoamerica and to South and North America. The Olmec people on the eastern Gulf Coast observed that animals mate in the fall and have their babies in the spring when the rainy season causes food to grow. So the animal mothers and babies survive with plenty of food. These Olmec settlers were pro-life. They wanted their babies to live too. And here they are up here at La Venta on the Gulf of Mexico, and they found that down at Izapa, they're at 14.8 degrees north latitude. They could establish the sacred 260-day count from August 13th to April 30th. August 13th being the fall time and April 30th being the springtime. The two sun zenith noon passages at Izapa, Mexico's latitude are August 13th and April 30th. This divides the year into 260 and 105 days, totaling the 365 days. And you can see Izapa down here on that latitude. Copan's also on the latitude, but was built much, much later than Izapa. And here's the yellow line that shows where August 13th starts for mating, and then the pregnancy, and then the birth of the child on April 30th, when spring rains grow food on the green line, so the mother and baby have food to survive. Izapa was first settled around 1500 BCE by early Olmec settlers. The research reveals that this location celebrates the sacred 260-day creation cycle of human pregnancy based on the sun's noonday zenith passages on August 13th and April 30th. At noonday, these two zenith sun passages cast no shadows. Geographer Vincent Malmstrom first observed this possibility in 1973 during extensive studies of many Central American sites. Archaeologist Michael Coe believed this 260-day cycle could be the most important mental construct in Mesoamerica. And here we are at Izapa. On the right here, I don't know if you can see my arrow. That's Mount Tahomuco that's on the east of Izapa. It's the highest mountain in all of Mesoamerica. Now the lower blue line, it shows where the zenith sun passages come across the mountain on August 13th and April 30th. Also, from Izapa, they can see the heliacal rising of Venus every 584 days from this point. This was chosen by the Olmec people. Izapa, Mesoamerican religious Mecca, 1500 BCE to 1000 CE. The temple center is oriented to Takana on the left, which is north, and Tahomuco Peak east on the right. For summer solstice, June 21st sunrise and Venus star rise near Tahomuco's peaks approximately every 584 days. And here's a picture, thanks to Dennis Lisenby, showing in Plaza B that the Olmecs built at Izapa, shows the Venus morning star rising on the right of Mount Tahomuco Peak every 584 days. It is aligned to the Izapa-style 9 that has resurrection symbols with the god Quetzalcoatl. And I'll show you some of that later. Mount Tahomuco on the east of Izapa is where the sun, moon, and the Venus sun zenith passages are. Here's E. Look at E. That's where the sun zenith passage, it's at August 13th, and then it goes south to December 21st, and then goes back north, and then April 30th. So when it's moving in one direction, it's on August 13th, and then it comes back the other direction, and it's April 30th. Templum, Latin for temple, a place set apart where the heavens can be observed. See the Orion constellation in the sky above? This is studied throughout world cultures, and Jim gave us a wonderful presentation. When was it, Jim? A month ago?
Yeah, it was in early December.
Yeah, on Orion. This is an Izapa diorama by my husband in 1976 for the New World Archaeological Foundation that had the sponsored work at Izapa. Now, August 13th and April 30th, these 260-day count, there's no shadow cast by the two zenith sun passages overhead at high noon on these three pillar balls monuments, 1, 2, 3, that are in the Plaza B that the Olmec developed. And those three pillar balls are believed to represent the three stars in Orion's triangle. And those three front pillar ball stones that represent the three stars in Orion's triangle are right here in the front in Plaza B. And then here are three stelae that are behind them. And we're going to start with the one on the right. Stela 10, the new spirit, is in the child's spirit is up in the clouds, coming down to the pregnant mother who's by the tree of life for her to give birth at the end of the 260-day count. The middle stela is a human spirit rising to heaven on the sun god's wings at the summer solstice, June 21st. This on the right is the human spirit rising with the god to heavens. And then the Orion imagery is on the left. The three hearthstones mirror the triangle of stars in Orion with the fire of the N42 nebula in the center. This photo was taken in a Maya household in Santiago, Atitlan, courtesy of Robert Sittler, who took part in reigniting the sacred fire at Izapa. In 2018, Dr. Robert M. Rosenvig at Albany, New York, wrote, Izapa, Mexico, at 14.8 degrees north latitude, was the capital of the ancient Mesoamerican kingdom, with 60 ancient sites in a territory that covered hundreds of square kilometers. So you can see where Izapa is over here. It's the capital, and there are just a few of the 60 sites that are in this area. Some are north and some are south that are not even in the picture in the map. Now we're going to talk about the Maya ceremony. The Maya Conservancy's Mary Lou Rittinger, second from right, and Sister Georgianne Johnson, fourth from right, and Izapa Cosmos organized a Maya Sacred 260-day count ceremony tour in 2010 with Maya leader Rigoberto Itzap-Chanchavek, plus 12 Mayans. The Maya ceremonies were performed at 5 different ancient sites. The final 3 were Tlaquelecabaj, Guatemala, Izapa, Mexico, and Momostenango, Guatemala. Maya leader taught Rigoberto Izapa dedicated each of the 3-hour-long ceremonies, 3 hours long, every one of them, to their ancestral roots, the tree trunk and branches, so that participants would be blessed with wisdom from the ancients. Izapa-style 5 is the most detailed and important tree of life rendering in the world. This is by Dr. Mary Ellen Miller of Yale. A universal symbol up at the upper left is the spiral, which symbolizes families, one eternal round, plus the ancestral family. 8 branches are the posterity up at the top, and the 12 roots are the ancestors at the bottom. This was created in Izapa Plaza A between 400 and 350 BCE. The Tree of Life on Stela 5 and the Milky Way have similar outlines. The Milky Way is a symbol of our universe. The Tree of Life is a symbol of life on Earth. 12 Maya spiritual elders, 6 men and 6 women, perform the sacred 260-day temple ceremony at Izapa. The men wear white and head cover, apron and sash, and later a shawl. The women wear native dress. The Maya 2010 ceremony at Izapa begins by creating an earth circle and putting 4 dots for north, south, east, west, made with sugar. The 260-day human gestation calendar that began at Izapa is continued today by the Maya. The 260-day Tzolk'in is rebirthed, as Jim said. The Quiche Maya spiritual elders create an earth circle and add symbolic items. The creation of the earth circle, they add incense, pine needles, flowers, corn, and other items symbolizing plants and animals created for the earth. As the smoke arose from the burning candles in the circle, we were taught that smoke carries our prayers to heaven. Stela 12 shows smoke. You can see the arrow is going to the burning fire. The new fire ceremony is between 2 seated figures showing smoke rising. Izapa has 3 additional stela that depict fires burning, Stela 5, 18, and 24. This is in Garth's book, Izapa Sacred Space. Here's me on the left and Jim on the right, pulling smoke to our bodies to carry prayers to heaven. And then our Maya Rigoberto, the leader, is on the left behind me. And here's the Maya cosmic order. The north is the heavens, east is to ascend, west is to descend, and south is the underworld. At 4 different times during the long ceremony, the Maya bow and kiss Mother Earth, facing either north, south, east, or west. Leader taught Rigoberto Izapa blows incense to dispel the evil spirits from the ceremony. A sun god at the top descends from northern Mount Takana to endow Izapa's Stela 4 priest king, who is in the image of Orion. In the Popol Vuh, the Maya creation story, it states that the people of 3 attempted creations did not honor their gods, so they were destroyed with a flood. Then the creator gods made the corn people, Maya, and they were pleased. Here's the spiritual leader praying. He prayed many, excuse me, many times during the ceremony. Next, we had individual blessings offered to each person by one of the 12 elders. And this is my husband, Garth, receiving these blessings. And Jim is the one on the right receiving the blessing. Each Maya held a candle, which equaled light, and a pine branch equaling the tree of life, with which they touched and blessed the body parts of each participant. First, they touched all the parts of the head. Then they blessed the arms and hands, then the front and back, followed by blessing the legs and feet, always touching each part with the candle and pine branch. Now, the coming of spring is symbolized on Izapa-style 27, the 7th month, March to April, spring equinox near March 21st. The date is 10 Kawak, we think. This young jaguar at the bottom of the picture delivers the sun from the underworld to bring the spring growing season. Then leader Rigoberto lit incense in a small bowl. He then walked in front of each person blowing smoke to carry prayers to heaven. So this was a little different than us standing and pulling the smoke towards ourselves. He stood in front of each one of us. Now, 3 Maya on 4 sides of the circle count to 65. 4 times 65 equals 260 day sacred creation 9-month pregnancy count, the creation of a human baby. This is after everything else was created, they did this counting to celebrate the creation of a human baby, the greatest creation of the creator gods. And this Izapa-style 10 symbolizes conception and birth. The spirit baby at the top, you can see where the arrow goes up. Here's the baby. The spirit baby is descending down to the pregnant mother who has her back to the tree of life, waiting for the spirit baby to be born. Amazingly, this Izapa-style 10 aligns from the East Mount Tahamuco on the 9th month on April 12th, right on April 12th, when the rainy season begins. It aligns to that 9th month at the end of the 260-day cycle. Is that amazing? They were amazing astronomers. And here's again showing the yellow circle pregnancy time. This sculpture was done by a young man at Izapa that we met. He did lots of wonderful sculptures of Izapa. And this one is showing a mother having her baby, and her skirt is the Stela 5 Tree of Life monument. Now we're going to watch a summary of this. Summarizes the whole ceremony.
In 2010, the Maya Conservancy of Guatemala and Izapa Cosmos of Mexico organized the Mayas to Izapa Creation Calendar Ceremony Tour. 13 Quiche and Cachical Maya elders and a dozen Maya scholars were invited to record the Maya ceremony for posterity. Archaeologist Garth Norman and his wife Cheryl participated. The Quiche Maya of Guatemala are cousins with the Cachical, and as recorded in the Totonicapán documents, profess their ancestors came anciently from across the sea, from the region of Babylonia. Izapa, in southern Mexico, is the birthplace of their sacred 260-day calendar. The tour for the Maya ceremonies began in Antigua and then proceeded to the ancient sites of Ixinche, Santiago Atitlan, Tacalicabaj, Izapa, ending at their home of Momostenango in the highlands of Guatemala. All the ceremonies were the same and began with the Maya leader Rigoberto Itzap dedicating the ceremony to their ancestral roots, so the tree trunk and branches, which represent their families, would be blessed with wisdom from the ancients. The Maya men are dressed in white with red headscarves, red shawl and apron with a sash. The Maya women are dressed in native costume with red headscarves. All participating were given red headscarves to wear. Native flute music was in the background during some of the ceremony. The remaining 12 Mayan, 6 men and 6 women, proceeded with the ceremony. First, 3 Maya men formed a circle on the grass with white sugar to represent the earth. They divided the circle into 4 sections, with a dot in each section representing the 4 cardinal directions of the earth. Next, copal incense and pine needles were added, symbolizing the earth. Clear liquid was sprinkled over the circle to symbolize purifying, life-giving rain from the heavens. The liquid alcohol was used to help sustain the candle fire. 6 candles, blue representing heaven, green representing earth, red representing east, black representing west, white representing north, and yellow representing south, were added and lit to symbolize light and heat to sustain earth life. Flowers, pine branches, corn, cocoa beans, and other items were added. These items symbolize plants and animals that were created for the earth. In the Popol Vuh, the sacred book of the Maya, we learn that the first people forgot their creator God and the wisdom he taught, so he destroyed them by flood. After the flood, the corn people came to the earth. As the smoke rose from the candles burning in the circle, we were taught that smoke carries our prayers to heaven. The evil spirits were then cast out by leader Rigoberto so the ceremony could proceed. 12 Mayans positioned themselves with 3 on each side of the 4 sides of the earth circle. We all followed them as they turned east, knelt, and prayed. The leader then blew on his conch shell 4 times. We prayed again, then bent down and kissed Mother Earth. The same procedure was repeated 3 more times, facing west, north, and south. Individual blessings were then offered to each person surrounding the 12 Maya elders in the circle. Each Maya elder held a candle, symbolizing light, and a pine branch, symbolizing the tree of life, which they used to touch and bless the body parts of each individual. First, they touched the head and blessed it with the candle pine branch. Then the ears, eyes, nose, and mouth. Next, they blessed the arms and hands. Then they blessed the front and back, followed by blessing the legs and feet, always touching each part with the candle and pine branch. Following these individual blessings, the Maya leader Rigoberto lit incense in a small bowl. Holding it, he walked in front and back of each person, blowing smoke for purification and to carry the prayers heavenward. This is reflected on ancient hieroglyphic monuments, Stela 5, 18, and 24 at the Izapa-Preclassic Maya temple complex. The 12 Maya elders again took their places around the fire circle, with 3 on each of the 4 sides. Then each elder, man and woman, recited 5 day names by memory. This was done 13 times on each of the 4 sides, totaling 65 on a side. 4 times 65 totals 260 day names. This sacred 260 day count equals the 9-month human gestation period. At the end of counting in each quarter, the man or woman officiating gave a short prayer. In these ceremonies, we were taught that a man and a woman should be united as husband and wife, and that marriage is like the trunk of the tree. Ancestors are the roots, our children are the branches. Our families will one day be with our ancestral family tree. We were taught that all plants, animals, and humans, all forms of life, were created to continue creating. We were taught that all mankind must honor the wisdom and sacrifice of their ancestors and carry their righteous traditions on with families and clans. We were taught that our positive actions will bring good in our lives with the positive life forces around us. We were taught to care for those less fortunate, to help others along this journey of mortality. We were taught that the Sabbath day is a holy day, not a day for work. We were taught to offer prayer at the break of each day, at noon, and in the evening with our families. We were taught to pray before and after each meal with gratitude for life-giving food we eat, a blessing from our Creator God. Following the day counts and blessings, everyone was given 6 colored candles, incense, and other offerings to put into the fire as prayer offerings. Each person then put their prayer offerings into the circle of fire, rendering their prayers heavenward, rising with the smoke. With our empty hands, we pulled the smoke from the altar over our bodies 13 times. Following the offerings, we then faced east, west, north, and south, kneeling to pray with the palms of our hands up or together, then bending forward on our knees to kiss Mother Earth. Following each ceremony, our Mayan spiritual guides formed a half circle by the embers of the fire altar. We all walked to hug each one of them and then each other. With this warm and loving spirit of unity, we whispered that we are all hermanos y hermanas, brothers and sisters. On June 26, 2010, at our last meeting with the Mayan spiritual guides, we had a traditional native lunch with blessings before and after the meal. At the conclusion, our spiritual leader, Rigoberto Izap, stood with tears in his eyes, thanking everyone and saying that his Mayan people had suffered from many wars, losing many families, branches from the tree trunks, but never losing the traditions of their ancestral roots. He said they and their ancestors have never made weapons of war, nor fought with weapons to injure or kill others, even though they had suffered much at the hands of others with weapons. Rather than fight, they fled persecution. Then Rigoberto blessed and prayed for us to share the memories of our journey with our families and friends as we return to our homes and places of work. We need to spread love for one another and bury our weapons of war. Share the love we have felt together on this journey and care for one another and our brothers and sisters, all people of God's creation. He thanked us for our respect and tenderness on our journey together and said, "Today is not a coincidence."
Okay, this shows the Maya view of rebirth, resurrection, world without end. And here we are with this group at our last meeting place in Momostenango, Guatemala. This is the home of the Maya leaders. On the left is Jim Reed holding the flag. On the right is Robert and June Sittler, and the Mayans hired this man. What's his name? Let's see. To video all of the ceremonies because a lot of their youth are leaving the villages and going to the cities, and they wanted the ceremony to be videoed for these people to remember. And I'm in the middle with my husband here, and on the right is Mary Lou Rittinger and her sister Georgianne Johnson, and let's see, where's Rigoberto? I think he's in here, right here.
Right.
With the blue. Is that right?
Yeah, in the hat.
With the blue.
Right. Blue and red.
Okay. Thank you. And this was a special time for us to be with them in their own village. The new Maya cosmogram, created with images from the numerous stelae at Izapa, is by Jim Reed. Note the tree of life above and the hero twins below, igniting a sacred fire in the underworld. Beautiful picture from Jim. All ancient Izapa stelae were carved very methodically. Geometry was used to create all Izapa monuments. The 260-day calendar at Izapa's capital was taken to 60 ancient sites throughout Mesoamerica. Teotihuacan, up in the upper left, the blue star up there, the natives migrated north from central Mesoamerica to build the pyramid of the sun that is oriented to the zenith sunset for the 260-day calendar. And at Ezna Campeche, 400 BCE to 1500 CE, if you climb these stairs, there are 65 stairs on 4 sides of the pyramid, which totals 260-day count. The same thing happens at Uxmal, Yucatan, 500 to 925 CE, Late Classic Maya, with the steps. Also at Mayapan and many other ancient sites. So when you go to a pyramid and start climbing, count the steps, make sure there's 65 steps on the 4 sides for the 260-day count. This will happen at a lot of the 60 sites that Rosenzweig mentioned. The National Geographic LiDAR photo shows 60,000 structures beneath dense Guatemala jungles. And this showed that there were millions of people anciently there. They had roads, pyramids, corrals, agriculture, and fortifications. And these are showing some of the buildings under the jungle trees from the LiDAR filming. About 100 to 50 BCE, the 260-day Maya calendar was taken from Izapa's capital at 14.8 degrees north latitude to Nazca, Peru at 14.8 degrees south latitude. Boy, were they good astronomers to figure this out. They sailed on the Pacific coast there to get to Nazca. Nazca, Peru, the lines aligned to the horizon. The geometry up there in the brown circle is like Izapa's with the 4 quarters, north, south, east, west on the earth. And they have a temple up here in the upper right. Whoops. There we go. They also migrated north to the U.S. On the left is a map showing Mesoamerica, and then up here is the United States, and here this red line up at the top left goes through Utah. And these people migrated up north to get the turquoise from the turquoise mines in the Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah mines. The map is by Eduardo Williams, and my husband wrote this book, The Parowan Gap, to show how it relates to Izapa. It was built around 700 CE by the Fremont, but the 260-day count is from August 12th to April 29th, one day earlier at the Parowan Gap because of the location. It has the 260-day observatory, petroglyphs and cairns via the turquoise trade with Mexico. Carved petroglyphs are throughout the 2 mountains. I hope some of you have been there. It's really fun to watch at the different. This is the sun that you're seeing is on June 21st, summer solstice. And they have cairns that align with the sun rises and sunsets. I'm sorry. The sun rises on the east and then the sunsets on the west. Have cairns showing the main calendar dates, the solstices and equinoxes. The ancient Maya 260-day sacred human creation temples calendar that began at Izapa's 14.8 degrees north latitude capital was taken by ancient migrants to all of Mesoamerica and beyond to North and South America. And here at Izapa, a visitor center was dedicated to Garth by Antonio Damiano Atristain. Left is Sergio Naves. He was our chauffeur. Every time Garth and I went down 4 or 5 times a year for the last 60 years, he drove us everywhere. Rodolfo Juan Flores is second from the left. He's establishing an Izapa college. Third from the left is Alberto. He's the Izapa caretaker. And then Garth. And then Dr. Jason Jones is on the right is an RTI photographer, a new photography system, and he photographed a lot of the Izapa-style, including the famous Izapa-style 5 with this RTI, because a lot of them are weathered, and with this photography, you could see the detail as thin as a human hair. Amazing photography. Here's inside there's 5 pictures showing the inside of the little visitor center. Garth is on the lower right with Antonio Damiano Atristain, who organized and paid for the visitor center. Here are some of Garth's books. I typed all of them. They're all on Amazon. Yeah, and I've got a bunch of them here at my house too. His main one, the Izapa Sacred Space, is in English on the left, and then in the middle in Spanish. And then if you want to learn more about Izapa, go to ancientamericafoundation.org. Celebrate life. This is at Izapa. This picture is at Izapa. And then thank you. We have also a YouTube channel, Ancient America Foundation, that Dennis Lisenby set up. And in a month, we had over 500,000 views on that YouTube channel. The majority of them were from Mesoamerica. Both the website and the YouTube channel are in English and Spanish. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. And thank you, Dennis, for the video that was a part of this program. Very interesting images. I saw a few of myself in there. Also, I just want to say, this is, I've done more than 50 programs, and no one has ever, they've embedded motion into their PowerPoints, but they haven't embedded videos. So Dennis, you'll have to teach me how to do that.
Yes, thank you, Dennis.
Hey, do you want to see the Stela 5 RTI image that you're talking about, and then Garth's overlay, and then the water cycle?
Yeah, go to YouTube to see those.
Right.
You want to give the, I mean, what do they search for on your YouTube?
Ancient American Foundation. That Ancient American Foundation, but you can also go to ancientamericafoundation.org.
Go ahead.
What's the name of the video that you were mentioning that's on that YouTube channel?
Well, there's some 60-second videos that just show some of the stelae. We tried to make them short to find out if anybody has any interest.
And we found out they had some interest.
They have some interest, quite a bit.
Also, Dennis, you can just copy and paste the link and put it in the chat feature for people.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
I'll do that.
Do the one that shows Jason Jones RTI.
Okay.
Of Stela 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, how do I get out of this, Jim?
Just stop sharing.
I don't see. Whoops. I don't see stop sharing. Set up. I don't have that on. Well, maybe I do. End show. Should I click on that?
Sure, why
Yeah.
not?
Okay. There we are.
All right,
So,
we do have a few questions coming in. And anybody now, go ahead and put your questions into the chat feature. We've got some people who have who'll be attending Maya ceremonies soon. Mark Elmy, and he says we are in the lead up to the most important day of the 260-day calendar, Wuchakibe Bats, which will fall on Saturday. We will then have the solar new year according to the Highland Maya on February 18th. And I think Cheryl, you and Garth and I attended a Wuchakibe ceremony back in 2008, maybe 2000,
yeah.
2010, where we had to get up at before 5 in the morning to be on top of the mountain, and then the ceremony ends when the sun comes up. And then the pictures, especially in the Dennis video of the final ceremony that we did with the Quiché elders in their hometown of Momostanengo, I think that picture is behind me, where Cheryl pointed out the different people. Go ahead and close PowerPoint.
Close the PowerPoint.
Yeah. But one of the reasons that Rigoberto was crying, because at that final ceremony, it was very, very overcast and the clouds were touching the tops of the pine trees on the mountaintop we were on. And at the end of the ceremony, a hole opened up in the clouds and the sun came down in a circle just over our group of people. And then a few minutes after that, it started to rain and everybody ran for shelter. So the reason why he was crying was because he said that the Maya gods had shown their faces. So the solar god came, and in spite of the clouds and rain, made his presence known, and then Chalk made himself known. And it was a blessing for not only that ceremony, but just the endeavor, people coming together to do something very important on behalf of the Maya. That was why he was crying. And he was crying like a little baby, I remember. Marilee says, good to see everyone. I like seeing ceremonies. I really like Chamula. Are there any references to the tune long count of 360 or the hob count of 365? Arnold, I don't think Cheryl made mention of it, but in the the one slide that she showed where the light blue lines with the alignments to Takana volcano and the 14.8 latitude, that's from a series of images that I had created to show why Izapa is where it's at. And I don't know if it's from Vincent Malmstrom, but there's when the sacred 260-day calendar probably began on the Olmec side and then was carried down through the isthmus of Tehuantepec there and along the trade route of the Pacific coast, and Izapa would have better when they got to Izapa, they could see, view over time, and anticipate the alignments with Venus and different things there. Izapa, that is why they put Izapa where it's at. And they believe, researchers have I've read, and it's in my series of images, that it's quite possibly the same priests, the guys, the sky watchers who would stay up all night looking at the skies and establish the 260-day calendar there, where there was 260 days in between the two main dates, that within 30 years, and could it be by the same person, they started the Hob calendar. So that's really important that came out of Izapa. And Rob's asked, in the video, the narrator mentions people coming across the ocean from Babylon. Can you elaborate on that?
You want me to elaborate on that?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, what was it, Stela 67, I think, that we started with, isn't it, Dennis? That shows the people were in a boat, and they brought with them things that showed that they had come from the Middle East area.
Plus, they were bearded people.
bearded people. Yeah, and they brought their measuring sticks that they used the same measurements that were used in Babylon to create the things there at Izapa. And
Soren Bear is asking, how do you distinguish Mixe-Zoque and Olmec, and Mam? That goes way far back, and that's not from Cheryl or I. These are researchers that look into the various language groups earlier on, and the Mixe-Zoque came from different parts, and we're especially in that area of the state of Chiapas. But they've even got to the point where they believe they now know what was the language that was spoken in Teotihuacan. So that information isn't derived from us. It's from the scholars and researchers.
Thank you, Jim.
Christina, are you aware, Cheryl, that your daughter's here tonight with us?
Oh, no.
Joined, Mom.
Well, there she is.
Checking up on you.
Okay. Hi, Tina.
Hi, I go by Tina.
Hey, Christina. And Charles asking, the opening image for the talk was interesting. Besides main figures, I assume from Izapa, I noticed that at the bottom was a band containing fish images. Any guess as to the existence? Also, Izapa was not a coastal site. I wonder about the use of aquaculture as in other areas. Well, Cheryl, you can answer, but these were underwater bands, fish, and sometimes, crustaceans, starfish, and different things will show up. But that's showing whatever's happening, like a person in a boat or whatever's happening above. And Nicholas Helmuth can tell you about like all of this, but that's the underwater underworld band, which has all different kind of symbols that can be used. Nicholas, you want to say anything about? Let me see if he's still here.
Yeah, we just posted my PhD dissertation in German and in English has just been posted on myarchaeology.org. And since that's about 8 years of research and several hundred pages and 727 illustrations, I think it's easier to let people download those and read it themselves rather than me to try to put that. I would like to make one mention that the bird, which is coming down from the sky in most of those cases, and the bird being shot, is named the principal bird deity. And it's not a macaw. In the Popol Vuh, there are two stories of birds and trees. One is Seven Macaw, and the other one is a laughing falcon. It's also called the snake-eating hawk. And I'm going to be publishing Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff on that. But again, it's called the principal bird deity, and it's known throughout Mesoamerica.
It's a part of most initial series group glyphs, right?
Now, the principal bird deity is primarily a complete bird up in a tree or falling down from the sky. And as I said, it was Bardwell is the one that identified the name, and I discussed it in my PhD dissertation. So again, if you download from the homepage of Maya-archaeology.org, you will find hundreds of photographs and drawings and discussion of the principal bird deity.
And in that particular stela that she showed, that's Hunahpu, one of the hero twins who's lost his arm. His arm is up under the wing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And how do you tie that into principal bird deity? I mean, this is a story in the Popol Vuh.
Yeah, I'm working that all out. I'm going to do another archaeologist iconographer is going to co-author the book with me, and we're going to have 5 other iconographers do different chapters. So that'll take about a year to finish, and then we'll discuss all those issues.
And what do you think about the fish showing up in the underworld band?
Yeah, well, fish are all over the place. I mean, there are fish in the rivers, there are fish in the lakes, and there are fish out in the ocean. And at a recent symposium in Guatemala, 2 different speakers made presentations on fish, and I'm sorry I don't have their names, but a lot of people do study fish. They're very important. And of course, the shark is found in Olmec art. By the way, nowadays, most people use the word epi-Olmec to talk about the later Olmec that influenced the Maya and kind of separate them from the other Olmec that were much, much earlier.
Right.
That's academic jargon.
Yeah. And then Arnold asked, there was a slide that showed 45 days times 8 cycles. Do you remember that, Cheryl?
45 days what?
45 times 8 cycles.
I don't remember that. 45 times 8.
And Solomon is asking, with all the baby imagery at Izapa, is there any connection to the modern Maya practice of female abdominal therapy?
Well, we've been to Momostenango, and every married woman is a midwife in the Maya communities, and they help each other with natural herbs and things to help them when they have their babies and during their pregnancies. So they still have many, many children today. I'm sure all of you know that. It's not like up here where people have 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe 4 children. They have 8 to 15 children with one woman. But these midwives help each other. Amazing. Just when we visited with them and they showed us all the things that they use, the herbs and so forth. Amazing how they help each other. Okay.
Is there any record of using 260 days to measure any of the planets and the moon? I don't think so.
I don't know of any.
Yeah, I mean, they are very aware of the 819 calendar that correlates some of the cycles of days that it takes a planet to circumnavigate. All of that, there's a lot of research going on that the Maya were aware of, all of the planets and especially the moon, and they could predict eclipses to within 33 seconds or something like that. But I don't know that it exactly is in increments of 260. I think the number is 260 times something. And then that something is what ties it all together.
Jim, for Mars, they did because Mars is 780 days. So
Yeah.
they 260 times 3.
Yeah. And I don't think in this presentation either of us could take it any further than that. I mean, you're really reading and researching if with specific interest, just like yours. Any frog imagery associated with giving birth? Well, I know there's what I call
I'd like to mention, can I break in?
Sure.
This is Nicholas Helmuth. Yeah, most of those frogs are probably bufo-toads, which are one of the most hallucinogenic sources in Mesoamerica, along with mushrooms. And I don't try that kind of stuff, but I definitely been studying the bufo-toad in Mesoamerican art, and that's probably most likely what those are. The name has changed, biologically, they change the names every century or so, but I call it the bufo-toad, and they're extremely common in Maya art and other locations. But again, most of these are not frogs, they're bufo-toads.
Right, and there's a a well-known image of the toad, and you can see the telltale marks on its shoulder of the glands that are hallucinogenic at Izapa. The stela is at Izapa, and it's famous more because it has its tongue sticking out, and on that tongue is a canoe traveler. So it's to me a visual tie-in of the shamans and the stargazers who stayed up all night of utilizing the Bufus toad and, like you say, mushrooms. But frogs in particular are associated with rebirth and regeneration because they could move from the water world. They could navigate the water world, and they could navigate the middle world. And there's a lot of images, and even of where there's a tie-in to the birth of like even the Maya birth glyph. For decades, researchers have called it a frog, but I believe that it's the image of a stole. It's a creature like a miniature catfish that gets all kind of gills, and would be present at the mouth of caves, which the Maya would frequent from very, very early on. So they would encounter these creatures in the water, and they were also a messenger from the underworld, the darkness, the womb, whatever, into the light. And I used to raise a few of them. They were also called dogfish, I think. But they begin their life underwater, and they have their gills, and they have a very wide fan-like tail. And then they go through a complete, I can feed them goldfish food at that point. You can stick your finger to the glass and they'll come up like they're trying to suck your finger. They yawn underwater. They're such cute creatures. They have little personalities, but then they go through a metamorphosis, just like a caterpillar to a butterfly. They go through a metamorphosis where they lose the gills, they lose the tail into a regular lizard tail, and then they come out and live the rest of their life in the middle world on the land, and they start eating little crickets, earth food. So the Maya birth glyph is complete tie-in to the life cycle of regeneration, rebirth, moving from one dimensional existence to the other, that I believe is the basis for the Maya birth glyphs. So frogs and those kind of creatures are very important to the Maya.
Jim, can I say something here?
Certainly.
The slide that I showed, well, two slides that I showed, the three pillar balls where there was no shadow, you know,
Right.
shown, and behind them are three stela that depict some of these things you're talking about. Stela 8, 9, and 10 are right behind them. And if anybody wants to get in Garth's book, you can, yeah, his Izapa Sacred Space book, you can learn more about Stela 8, 9, and 10 and how they relate to what you're talking about.
Great. And Mark, you've got a nice comment here. Like I might have sent a little chat message to you. I'd love to have you be a presenter someday. The 2599 day eclipse cycle is called the Zoltskiniks after the sacred calendar, approximately 10 times 260. The eclipse that happened in the US on August 21st, 2017 was mirrored in Chile. Jimena, did you see the eclipse on the 2nd of October?
Yes.
Great, great. And let's see, anybody have any more questions? Anybody want to unmute and ask a question?
Yes. I was trying to ask my mom the question about the planets or moon being involved in the 260-day calendar. There's at least one stela that aligns with Venus. And my mom, of course, knows more about this, but Mom, did you want to tell them what that?
Stela, let's see, 9 in Plaza B it aligns with the Venus rise that's
In the mountain.
84 days. I don't know where you got 8 times 45. I never put that into one of the slides, Jim.
I don't know, that's coming from Arnold. Arnold, do you want to unmute and clarify?
Yeah, Jim, thanks. Yeah, Cheryl, it was one of the slides that you put up. It was an image of a circle with 45-day sort of triangles inside the circle.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's just measuring the time periods. That
And the time period is 45 days times 8 triangles adds up to 360.
correct.
And that's why I was kind of asking, because there's, it's a different cycle.
There are many cycles that are recorded on Izapa-style. Stela, which one was it that I was showing that had all the calendar dates? Stela 5 is one of them that Garth in his book shows the different calendar dates. And what was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was that I showed. Was it 12?
Yeah, I just remember the circle.
Yes.
And it's broken into 45-day sections, that's all.
Right.
And I was just asking if you knew more about those cycles and that time period.
I don't, but it's in Garth's book. His Izapa Sacred Space book will have that information. He goes into the different calendar cycles, the 360-day calendar, the 260-day calendar, the 365-day calendar are all in his Izapa Sacred Space book that you can get on Amazon. And he just
okay, well, you get another commission because I'll be buying that book. Yeah.
Great.
Cheryl, can you find a way to stop screen sharing?
Can I find a way to stop screen sharing?
We still see your PowerPoint app is open.
My PowerPoint's still open?
Yeah, we're seeing that with just a blank.
Cheryl, up at the top of your screen, there's a little icon that says stop share.
The top of my screen.
It's the top of the Zoom screen. The top of Zoom.
Okay, there
That's
you go. Yeah. Now we can see you.
stop share.
That's perfect. That's good.
I don't see it.
No, now you're good. You're good. You stopped it.
I stopped it?
Yeah, now you're big. Everybody can see you big. Don't be picking your nose or nothing. I wanted to mention too about the frog connection to birth. Outside of Copan, there's a waterfall, and there's stones that the Maya shaped in the form of frogs, and it's the word for frog, it's Los Sapos. But this is a place where the Maya woman would come to probably give birth, or whatever. But it was also very, very frog connected. So yeah, you could Google Los Sapos, Copan, Honduras, maybe, and see some images of it. Anybody else got any questions? Babylonians had 360-day calendar also. Yeah. All right. Well, if everybody's happy and has no more questions.
And the recording will be on Aztlander, on what, Jim?
The Aztlander YouTube channel. Give me a few days and then I'll get it up there. And because I add an intro slide, I add exit slides, and I add a little music here and there. If you want to send me that link to your piano playing, that would be nice. I could put your piano behind the final credits. I mentioned.
Hi.
Hey,
Jim.
Hey, Mark.
Hi. I just wanted to ask something. Sorry, I did have a question, but I was hesitating. The angle between the stela and the Tacumulco volcano that marks the Venus rise. What heading is that on, out of interest?
What heading?
Yeah, kind of like how many degrees? It looks like it's probably somewhere around about 62, something like that.
I don't know.
Okay. I was just wondering because the Venus will rise in 5 different places on the horizon. So
Yes.
it probably marks the most northerly one. And I just wondered what the angle was there.
Dennis, do you know?
No.
Okay. I don't know
Okay.
either. It's probably in the book.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Izapa Sacred Space.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. There was also something that I noticed last year with eclipses. You know, we had this eclipse down here. Well, you had it up there on April 8th, I think it was.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that was the day 9 Kamei. And the day 9 Kamei in 1991 was also a solar eclipse. And so that would have been 46 cycles of 260 to get from one to the other.
Wow.
You're a smart man, Marco.
Wow.
Well, I was surprised. My mum's birthday is 9 Kamei. My stepson's was 9 Kamei. And there's a place here that was conceived on 11th of July 1991. And so when I realized that they were both solar eclipses, I'm like, 46 cycles is kind of interesting how that shows up.
Boy, you're observant.
That's it. We should have him do
Awesome.
it. You need to do. I'm looking for people in July or August. I have 2 people scheduled for each month through June. So turns out Aztlander is the place to be, I think. But
Cool.
yeah,
See what we
Mark,
can do.
it'd be great if you could get a program together. Do you have any articles
Yeah.
or things like that on Academia EDU or anywhere?
No, not anything academic. I'm not that. But yeah, I'm just about to, because I live on Lake Atitlan, so I'm more or less 14.8 degrees north here.
Right.
And I do love the, kind of the solar zenith transit. It's still an exciting thing for me coming from 52 degrees north. And
Are
so
you
I set up poles and posts and levels to actually see that, kind of like the sun shining through. But yeah, in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be presenting here on the lake about basically sky watching with the ancestors,
yeah.
because I think that's what we all need to go out and do, is go and have a look and see what's going on in the sky and where it is. And here, looking across Atitlan, we get these marvelous like rising of Venus, or Mercury was up the other day. So it gives us a real opportunity to go out and watch like the ancestors did.
Do you know Vincent Stanzione?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's just up the road from me.
yeah,
Yeah, we
he's got a few books out, and one of them I know I've reproduced his alignments, astronomical alignments from the lake above the volcanoes and stuff like that. Yeah, make sure to
yeah,
with Vincent.
yeah, yeah. He was down here nearly this time last year. We made the New Year ceremony together in my garden at sunrise.
Oh wow.
So we'll probably be doing something similar to that on February 18th.
On one of the visits, yeah, I've had taken groups to Santiago and around, but I would always meet with Vincent, and he would give my group a talking to.
Yeah,
And
fabulous guy.
one of the times we rented a boat and Vincent was with us and we went out and floated above the underwater site.
Stammerbach.
Samawak. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Roberto Samayoa is my neighbor, the guy that like did all the diving down there.
Oh, all right. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Has some very interesting
I think I was in
pots in the
email
museum over
contact with
there.
him a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
And uh we did an article many years ago when that was first coming about, and maybe a year or two after, so that you had a lot of images and stuff to work with. But it's still one of the most popular articles. People seem to search Samabak from around the world. It's something interesting to thousands of people. Mhm.
Yeah, there was a was seemed to only be released in Spanish.
Hmm.
And it's titled Atlantida Maya in Spanish, but it was called Mayan Blue in English. Unfortunately, I think the producer died and the English language version never saw the light of day.
Oh,
But there's also been a lot of rather naff AI representations of Samabach that have been kind of like going all over Facebook, and so they're showing pyramids, and there's walls, there's temple structures, there's stelae under there, and that kind of thing. But the pyramids that they're showing are kind of like a little bit on the creative side, let's say.
and in the same tour of ceremonies, Cheryl mentioned that we did ceremonies with these elders on the lakeshore. These people allowed us to come down to their private property and be there right on the lake. But we had to go through a field of giant corn stalks. They are the nothing like, I mean, what you see growing in the United States is probably 1/3 of the height of what these giant stalks were in the fields of corn, right bordering the lake. And as we walked through the trail through the stalks, there were different little gullies where water could flow and stuff like that. And every little low place, you would see giant Bufus toads. I mean, they just love the cornfields.
Yeah.
So I think there's a tie
Yeah.
with everything here. Arnold asks, is there a day count of Venus's superior conjunction? I think that's the Maya might have been aware of it, perhaps because of counting the days somehow, but I don't know that there certainly isn't a calendar of that particular. I mean, more than what you find in the Dresden Codex with the cycles of Venus. I think that's too particular of a question. Deloy says, thank you, very enjoyable. Thank you, Mark. So I see no more questions. With that, I think I'll end the program, and I thank you all for hanging out with us here this evening. Beautiful full moon out there hopefully you have clear skies and you're not in a snowstorm somewhere. But thank you very much, Cheryl.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me present, Jim. You're so kind.
Thanks for attending this Aztlander presentation. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more videos and info, visit ancientamericafoundation.org. To subscribe to free monthly issues of the Aztlander, Magazine of the Americas, contact your host, Jim Reed, at mayaman@bellsouth.net. Thanks again.